Thank you for joining us here this afternoon. We just thought it most appropriate that we have this press conference to really talk about the Every Student Succeeds Act Education Summit. You know, it's been decades since we have convened a summit to really talk about the future of education. Tomorrow we will be convening more than 1,000 individuals who care about public education here in the state of Hawaii to really begin and kick off and launch the process of creating an inclusive and collaborative process to talk about and to develop a blueprint for improving our public education system moving forward. So we're excited. Those speaking will be representatives of national organizations. We'll have experts from nationally renowned experts on 21st century education in schools. And then we'll also have, the program includes those representing National Governors Association, National Council on State Legislatures, as well as the U.S. Congress. We will have staff, technical staff here from the Education Committee, those directly involved with drafting and passing the Every Student Succeeds Act. So we're all excited. There's many people who have chosen to take a day out to talk about education. And as I said, it's been decades since we actually convened a summit to really talk about and invite the entire community to participate in a conversation about how to make our schools the best in the country. With that, I'd like to invite Darryl Galera, who chairs the governor's ESSA team, to talk a little bit about the conference.
Thank you, Governor. Again, my name is Darryl. My name is Darryl Galera. I'm the chair of the governor's ESSA team, and we're just thrilled. Governor had appointed a 19-member task force and team, and tomorrow the ESSA team moves from 19 members to 1,019 members, and we're just excited and thrilled. It's quite a opportunity for all of our stakeholders in Hawaii to come together, and it's very much of a listening and learning conference for us to hear. We're going to be hearing from the state's top education leaders, then we'll hear from the nation's top education leaders, but most importantly, we're going to hear the voices of our teachers, our students who are closest to the point of teaching and learning, and hearing their voices, and with their parents and our community members. We're just excited and thrilled to start moving forward on the governor's blueprint for public education.
Thank you. And also joining us is Dr. Steve? No, Stephen Parker, who's the director of the National Governors Association's committee? Education and Workforce Committee. Sorry, I forgot the script. But Stephen has been very helpful. You know, I met him when I went up to the National Governors Association conference this past February. We knew that the law had passed at the ending part of last year, and we made an effort to reach out and talk with him just to really kind of think through and talk about next steps. And he's been a valuable partner providing counsel and input as we've developed this process. So, Stephen.
Thank you. Thank you, Governor. I'm Stephen Parker, again. It's an honor to be here in Hawaii again. And I'll say, just as someone who represents governors, going back 20 or 30 years, you see education reform across the nation, beginning with the governors. And what we've seen with the Every Student Succeeds Act is a recognition that true state reform and educational innovation starts with governors. And the Every Student Succeeds Act creates a new role for governors, and there is no governor who is taking advantage of that opportunity more than Governor Ige. The states and state education agencies across the country are watching what's going on here in Hawaii. And that's an exciting time for you all, mostly because you have tremendous opportunity to make bold innovation here in your state with the flexibility provided by the Every Student Succeeds Act. And tomorrow will be an opportunity for two things. One, a celebration of the progress that Hawaii has made and the progress that is to come under the Every Student Succeeds Act and with the work that will happen and has already happened with the governor's ESSA team. And two, it's an opportunity for, again, that ESSA team to grow by more than 1,000. And as we progress and as Hawaii progresses over the next few months, it's an opportunity for it to grow even more. And every single classroom and every teacher and every parent and every student to have a voice in what the future of Hawaii's education system looks like. So thank you again, Governor Ige, for the opportunity to come. I'm looking forward to seeing some of the great ideas that Hawaii's citizens have for the future of Hawaii's education system and the future of the nation's education system tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Questions? Paula, sure.
Daryl, you've been a long-time educator in Hawaii and administrator and done some pretty great things with the schools you've been at. What kind of flexibility does ESSA offer, when you take a look at putting that hat on in the past, that would make change easier?
The ESSA law provides tremendous flexibility for states. It's a huge turnaround to now empower states and districts. So states have the opportunity, the flexibility to look at their school accountability systems, how they develop their support systems for schools that need extra help, looking at professional development systems for teachers and principals, how to help. It's identifying additional support for students that need extra support, like English language students and foster children and homeless children. It's an 1,100-page law that is a powerful tool for states and districts to really look at making change.
What are you hoping to see from the summit?
We're hoping, and we are already seeing this extreme, the number of people that are coming. It's tremendous that they're giving up their Saturdays. They're going to be there the whole day, and they're going to be put to work, and they're going to be sharing their voices. We're going to be the governor's blueprint is going to be built upon the voices of the people of Hawaii, which is a very powerful thought. Thank you.
We do have, and Paula, I guess maybe just talking a little bit about No Child Left Behind, which was very, very prescriptive. They said how you evaluate whether schools, how you evaluate teachers. They prescribed explicitly about how to measure performance. They had very specific instructions about how to deal with underperforming schools. So the previous law was very prescriptive from the federal level about what the state had to do. And so I think the opportunity is that that we are in a period where the federal government, again, is returning authority to where it should be. And, and we will be thoughtful about how we want to proceed forward. But I think it's an exciting opportunity for us to really think about how we would define success, how you would measure it. How do you create an accountability system that really helps in the most important way, which is the interaction between a student and the teacher, because that's where learning occurs.
So at this point, Governor, are you at the information gathering stage?
Yeah, so this is the summit launches the effort. The ESSA team has been meeting predominantly to get up to speed on a lot of the DOE systems and collect information. We, after the summit, and we do have kind of a program that you can look at, after the summit, then we will have a series of town meetings across the state We'll be working with the legislators. They've been very active in the ESSA team and want to be able to host town meetings in their communities to get input. We've put all the information up on the website so that people can see the minutes. As Darrell had said, the ESSA team tomorrow expands from 19 to 1,019, and we would encourage everyone to stay engaged. And then we will be talking about the next steps, which is the town meetings, the opportunities for people to stay engaged as we come up with different ideas about what areas we would like to focus on. Then we'll be allowing people to either come to a town meeting and provide personal and direct input, or submit it online as well.
Is there a deadline for a blueprint and implementation?
So the ESSA law itself has a deadline for a submittal of a plan. They actually have two opportunities for the state to comply. One is in March if you wanted to be an early submitter, and then I think all plans are due in May of next year. So we obviously Darrell has been a taskmaster, and he's kind of laid out a schedule that would allow us to be part of that early. I think part of it is we'll see the engagement of the public and try and make some decisions about whether the community would want more time to talk about any of the different ideas or proposals that come up from the process.
Why the superintendent hasn't been more involved, or why you have not been including her more?
Yeah, well, she is involved. She's speaking tomorrow. I mean, people had asked, but it was in the plan from the beginning. People have asked that, and she's a member of the cabinet. She comes to cabinet meetings when she can. So clearly, we have been engaged. Darrell has been asked by the Board of Education to kind of report back to the board, and Kathy has Tammy Chun reporting back on some of the changes and things that they're looking at. So, I think one of the ideas has been, in order to be as inclusive as possible, we have focused outreach on trying to get access and allow access to those that might not necessarily be engaged. And clearly, the department is staffing a lot of the activities and will be involved. I would also note that Darrell has done a terrific job of putting together a group of volunteers that are supporting the ESSA team and supporting the conference tomorrow. So it truly is a grassroots effort on a lot of different fronts, and definitely the Board of Education and the Department of Education is engaged and involved as well.
Can I ask you another question?
Sure.
When we look at transforming education, can you describe what you're looking at in terms of the vision for what we're training or teaching our children for?
Right.
Because to transform, I imagine we have to have a different goal.
I think, right. So I think the fundamental transformation is, and as you know, the education system throughout the country and in Hawaii really was designed on the industrial model, right? It really was about how can we produce as many educated citizens as possible, and really the classroom and the 30 or 20 to 40 students in a classroom sitting in rows was really designed when people thought that we could use the industrial model to generate the kids. Lot different kind of environment during that time. Today, I think the challenge in many instances are that we are trying to have kids learn for jobs that don't exist, right? I mean, if you look at the whole notion of Google, and who would think that Google would be, the one of the most, the largest, biggest, most important technology companies today, And they were built on the notion that some smart guys figured out how you could search the internet in a quick and efficient way to deliver to consumers a ranking of most likely interest areas. So we do know that what we want from our students is really creativity and innovation, and which is really opposite to the industrial model where you want people who are compliant and able to do the same job over and over and over 100 or 1,000 or 1,000,000 times a day, whatever that is. So it definitely is. It truly is about the transformation of what we see in our children. It really is about an acknowledgement of the fact that we want our children to be successful in the global economy. And what that means is the skill sets that they need today, the graduate of the public school system today needs to have very different skills than what it was even 10 years ago. And it's really, this conference is really an affirmation of that. And the challenge is really, how do we restructure, reform, change the school system to really be focused on what the future should bring for our students and what skill sets they would need to be successful.
These public schools, though, have been plagued by a high dropout rate at the 9th grade level. How do you get their voices into this transformation?
You know, I think the dropout is kind of twofold, right? It's about the transformation, about being student-centered and future-focused. So I do think the challenge with the dropouts is having courses and classes that are interesting to them, you know, and that's different today than it would be in the past. So it is about making education relevant. It's about connecting the dots, right? We want to be able to ensure that we can develop the workforce that we need to keep our economy moving. And at the same time, we want our students to be prepared for a career or a vocation that they would want to pursue. So it really is about being able to have all of those opportunities for our public school students.
Anyway, the educators have long told us that boys and girls learn differently. Is this flexible enough to accommodate that?
Absolutely, and I think part of it, you know, I'm a firm believer that it is about empowering schools and empowering those closest to the school, closest to the children, to manage the resources and make the decisions on their behalf. You know, today, I think the whole role of the teacher has changed. You know, when you think about if you're a high school teacher and you're sitting teaching, and I know that they don't allow the students to have access to their cell phones, but if you think about the fact that a teacher is teaching in a classroom where every student has more computing power in their pocket or in their purse, you know, then put a man on the moon, and that they can Google almost any question you could ask. You know, the skill sets and the challenges and the opportunities are very different, and really this summit is really to launch the conversation, the community conversation about what needs to be different and what works and what needs to be different moving forward.
So to kind of piggyback off the idea of transformation of education, where it's more than just a binary system of A, B, C's, and D's, but especially the idea of culture and Hawaii being such a culturally rich, state, that the power is back in our hands to direct where education is going to go. Can you tell us about how important that is for us?
I think that, and what we've seen over the last decade as No Child Left Behind has driven the public school system across the country, we have seen, I think, an overemphasis on performing on the tests that measure the success of the schools. And what you have seen is a reduction in the part that excites the students the most, the performing arts, the music programs, those have suffered, I think. And really what we always new, and if you talk to any educator, they will tell you it really is about educating the whole child, and you see successes. I think, and Daryl's been part of Moana Loa High School, Pearl City High School with the band program. I always thought that those programs were fundamentally important to our parents, our students, our communities, because it really demonstrated that our children can be the best in the world in any of these things if they really are committed, and you have the teacher and the community really supporting that effort. I think the Moana Loa Melilani orchestra programs they can compete with anywhere in the world and win. The digital media program at YNI Sea Riders Productions, I guarantee you won't find a better program anywhere in the country. Pearl City High School Band program. You see those glimpses of excellence about what can happen in a public school setting. And the challenge is really, how do we empower so that every school can be that successful, so that our students believe that they can compete and win in anything that they choose to endeavor.
How can we be sure? I guess I was talking to some parents today. They're a little skeptical because has been talk before, and this is actually all talking right now before the plan is implemented. How can they be confident that they really will see change?
Well, I think anything is in the devil's in the details. Clearly I would argue that I am committed to improving our public school system. I've spent 30 years really understanding. I've met literally with tens of thousands of people across the state over my time in public service to talk about education and about the things that would help and would make improvements. We do have a Board of Education now that is similarly aligned, and the department has made some changes, and really the blueprint, the objective is to really create a blueprint and a vision that can move the system forward. So I'm committed to getting better alignment of all of the players, the executive, the Board of Education, the Department of Education, in moving forward with a common vision. And there's not a perfect world, and it still comes down to implementation. But I do believe it's about empowering schools and getting resources down to that level, because that's where the most important decision should be made.
Can you say what the biggest hurdle in reaching that?
Well, I think it's really about trying to get people aligned to a common vision and try and make priorities. It's interesting. I really do believe in empowerment, and it's really acknowledging that every school should be successful, but they can succeed in different ways. I do know that a school at Kalani or McKinley High School would be very different than Molokai High or Kapa'a High. And it really is about getting the best leaders, delivering resources to them, and challenging them to do what is best for the students and the community in any given community. So devil's in the details, but clearly I think the summit is the start of that process.
I know you need 1,019 programs. Could you spare a few for us?
Sure. And please, you're invited to attend. I think, the ESSA team has been meeting every other week since I announced the team, so back in April. And I've been in my office working, and I have never seen so many committed people. There's 19 team members, and I would be working in my office, and I'd step out, and there are 17, 18 people, they're spending 6, 8 hours on a Saturday every other week to really get geared up for this. I think the ESSA team members are excited. They'll be involved with the sessions. They'll be participating and leading part of the breakout sessions. And so, we are excited about the opportunity that it represents.
Can I ask Mr. Parker?
Sure.
You mentioned that everybody's watching Hawaii now. Why are we watching Hawaii?
Well, that's mostly because of the stakeholder engagement process that's underway here. And so because the governor has been out in front of really trying to make sure that everybody's brought to the table at some point or another, that's been something that every state has wanted to model. And so in a lot of states, we're seeing stakeholder engagement that's been ongoing, but in the majority of states, we're seeing education stakeholder engagement to try to get their ideas for what their state plan should look like just starting. And so as they move forward, they're looking to states like Hawaii, where there is a large body of work. While it may seem like it's only been a couple of months, the benefit that other states have is that they can go to Governor Ige's website, and right there on the front page, they can see exactly the work that's been going on at public meetings, behind the scenes. The transparency there is one that's, one, great for other states to learn from, and then two, great for other states to kind of model exactly what's going on in those meetings as they start to get input from teachers. And then obviously one of the big strengths of the ESSA team is that it's obviously bringing the state education agency to the table and the state board to the table and the governor's office and education stakeholders from throughout, but it's also really realizing that this law is not just about what happens in the four walls of a classroom. It is it expands federal education policy to really start at early education and extend throughout that child's and that student's career. And so the fact that early ed is at the table and they're consulting with workforce and they're working with business leaders, and they will be working with different stakeholders across the education, that's also something that states can learn from.
Thank you.
Are you planning to submit your own state ESSA plan to the feds, or are you collaborating with the DOE on the plan that they're working on?
Yes, no, there will only be one plan that's submitted. Yeah.
And then, since the Constitution authorizes the Board of Ed to set, the policy, education policy in the state, how do you see your role as governor?
Sure.
Influencing that? How do you get buy-in from the board to take your recommendation?
There's been a couple members that are pointed specifically on the ESSA team, and others have been participating in the ESSA team meetings. I've invited all board members to participate in the summit tomorrow. Now, I know that there's been some issue with Sunshine Law, and so we're working through that. I know that I'm glad that there was so much interest with the board members that they all really wanted to participate. I guess I'm committed to ensuring that all aspects, all stakeholders are involved with the process. We also have a Partners in Education program where we've working with all of the organizations that have had long time commitment to public education. We had a meeting with them a couple weeks ago and told them that we want them to participate. We invited them to the summit, but we also committed to them that we will be having an opportunity for them to participate in the whole process directly, so that we will be sharing with them any information or ideas that come, and then we'll have follow-up meetings to invite them to comment on any of the ideas or make suggestions of their own. So, we've been committed to an inclusive process that includes as broad a spectrum of stakeholders that we could engage. And I'm excited because the response has been that people want to be engaged.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
No, I'll get you.